Hello, and welcome to the Physical Therapy Owners Club podcast. I am Nathan Shields. Got longtime buddy and friend, Will Humphreys, with me again today. Thanks for joining.
Hi-ho. Great to be with you, Nathan. Thanks for having me again, man.
Yeah, it's great to reconnect. It's been maybe a couple months since you've been on the podcast, which is always too long.
I feel like it is. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm hoping your people aren't getting sick of me, but I love coming on your show. It's the best one.
That's right. Whether they hate you or not, going to bring you back on. So they'll just have to suffer through another episode.
I'm really sure they're like, this guy again. Here we go.
Will Humphreys.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'm not getting any hate mail yet, so we'll keep going this direction.
Cool. Let's stick with it. I think it's a good idea.
Cool. Well, dude, you're going to talk to us today, and I'm really excited about this direction that you're going. I mean, you've always got something new going on, right? You got Rockstar Recruiter, you've got In the Black, billing collections. You're always doing something. You got multiple exit, and now you've got something really cool. And what I love about this is the idea being you're going to save owners tens of thousands of dollars, decreasing their overhead in relationship to HRs, HR expenses, right? And provide a huge benefit to offload owners altogether. I mean, I think that that's something cool that I haven't seen a lot of in your other programs, but in this particular one, the fact that you're able to save so much money for owners and offload them at the same time is pretty awesome.
Thank you. And it's funny. I feel like I finally struck like a nerve in the industry that's going to change the industry. Everything that I'm doing is meant to serve the PT owner world, right? I am a diehard entrepreneur. I can't help myself. I love these things. They aren't unrelated. All of these things that I do are related to being with PT owners. What is it that you need help with? There's a lot that I can't help with. I don't know everything. I just know the things that I can do well. And it always comes back to recruiting. The thing that no matter what I do, whether it's a billing company, whether it's a helping you exit your practice, where people need the most help is always with their people, building that team, that dream team. And I think that's the thing that I love most. My favorite thing in this life is turning teams into families, because those are the skills I learned to turn my family into a team years ago. And again, over years of having just horrible experiences with team members, I finally feel like I found the thing, Nathan, that is going to change the industry forever. Because of everything else that I've done, this has had the biggest impact in the least amount of time. It takes the least amount of effort for my partners, and it is growing the fastest. I honestly, I wake up early just to think about this particular service and program, because it's like a rising tide, this thing we're going to talk about. It makes everything else better. It brings more profits. And it's one of the first things I've ever done where I'm doing it for my partners. I'm not just helping them, do it themselves. I'm doing it for them. So it's been unreal, and it saves with tens of thousands of dollars of pure profit each year with doing less work. It's awesome.
Well, let's pull back the curtain. What are you doing?
Okay, so essentially, Rockstar Recruiter has started hiring international contractors and helping place the best people in PT practices to offload all of their administrative duties.
Okay.
And so the way this started, as you know, my passion is finding great people. I started with my billing company 3 years ago, realizing that we were never going to be profitable unless we went somewhat overseas. All of our main billers are American, but I started looking for the supportive roles overseas, and I started with a third-party company, which is what I am now.
Right.
But I started working with a third-party company, and they just sucked at it. They would just find these desperate Filipinos and pay them $3 an hour, and they would charge me $15 an hour, and I was still thrilled to have it. Or sometimes it was $13 an hour, whatever. And they would charge me, and they would make all that profit in the middle, and they weren't even finding me great people. I was finding one good person out of every 5. Mm-hmm. So years ago, I started legally learning how to build out a direct recruiting system. And for healthcare companies, there's HIPAA laws you got to be careful of. There's all of these international contracts you have to build out to build a third-party company. If people go hire virtual assistants, 1 or 2, you're probably going to be okay. Mm-hmm. But when you're building out a team and you want to work with like patient data and information, you've got to like cross your eyes and dot your T's.
Yes. Of course.
There's my dyslexic friend.
Yeah.
So it's one of those deals where we've been doing it for 3 years. We have 15 employees in the black who do nothing but like tech work for billing. They're not the main accounts receivable people, but they do a lot of cleanup. And frankly, they were some of the best people we get to work with.
Right.
Because and so I hire them directly for $6 to $8 an hour. And this is like life-changing money to them, because most of these companies that are paying them $3 or $4 an hour, that's good money to these individuals. So I'm doubling that. So every time I put an ad out, I'd get hundreds of resumes. So starting about 6 months ago, people in my Rockstar Recruiter program were saying, hey, Will, the program is great, but I don't have time to do email blasts to PTs, which is one of the many things I teach. And so I said, sure, why don't you hire someone overseas who knows how to do that? And they said, we don't know how to do that. And I said, fine, here, I gave them all my contracts. I gave them all the legal steps they had to do. And they just said, no, at the end of the day, I don't want to waste time doing anything other than overseeing my therapy.
Right.
So I piloted a program, and within 30 days, the 2 companies I worked with both came back within 30 days and said, Will, this has changed our business forever. And I'm not exaggerating. One quote was, this changed my life, which sounds dramatic. But when you work with the front desk who hates their job, it does change your life when you have someone overseas who's like, oh, thank you so much for the job. And they start crying. Like, this isn't about just saving money. Each hire that I find for my people saves them a minimum of $10,000 of pure profit, comparatively of hiring at $16 an hour a front desk. What I do will see guaranteed $10,000 a year of pure profit. And you have someone who is over the top amazing, perfect English. In many cases, Nathan, we're hiring physical therapists who are certified in the Philippines, who are making more money answering the phones and talking to patients and scheduling them, which is just one of the many things you can hire overseas help to do. And so I guess the magic formula here is that I get to do what I love best. I have a team of people that interviews and sources the best of the best because I'm paying more than anyone else. I am using my methodology on how to find the best talent possible. And I'm comparing that against a survey that I'll do with each person who comes on. I find the perfect avatar, and then I go match that against the avatar that we find and create with our PT partners. So the home run is almost immediate. There's a 2-week training process that there's some warming up on.
Like, you could do all the training for them.
We are building towards that. We don't have it all for every position, but it will be done in the next 6 months. We're going to have everything built out. Right now, when you hire from me, you don't have to pay any additional training fees, but we do help guide you where you should go. We do have programs like the perfect fit hiring solution is how we build your avatar and then go find that person. And then we have another program that's called the Simple and Secure Setup System, where we will teach you how to electronically be protected against hackers and all the different things that could be involved. And we have those things built out, but training the people is still in development in certain hats for sure.
Well, I love that you're getting into this, because the idea of using virtual assistants, of course, has been around forever. It's outsourcing, right? It's been around for decades. Tim Ferriss mentioned it in the 4-Hour Work Week. Then that was what, 10, 15, 20 years ago? I don't remember when he wrote it, but it still stands up. And he talked about using virtual assistants, right?
Right.
And I think the drawback that people tend to see is exactly what those initial Rockstar Recruiter clients mentioned, was that I don't want to figure out the international aspects. And yeah, are they bound to the HIPAA requirements that I have? And how do I protect myself in that situation? How do I recruit? How do I find? Where do I go? They don't want to, no, I don't want to do all that, even though they could see the immediate benefit that could come from it, right?
Yeah.
And for those people that haven't used foreign virtual assistants, maybe they don't know if it's going to work well or not until they talk to people like you or my business partner, Adam Robin. 2 of the main cogs in his clinics are virtual assistants that he's used for years. And they come in on the staff meetings via Zoom. They're building out programs and protocols and systems. And one of the main guys on his team is a licensed. He's got a master's degree in psychology, and in the Philippines, but nonetheless, he's a smart guy. And what Adam can pay him compared to what he can get in the Philippines is crazy amounts of money, right? I mean, these people are living very well on what we're paying them. And for us, it's a huge value. If we can bring those two things together and help those owners who need to offload tasks and save them money at the same time, considering inflation and all these things that are squeezing us so hard, then it's a home run. So yeah, I think it's amazing what you're doing. Tell me, what are so if someone's considering VAs, they use you, they don't use you, where do you find the greatest impact that those VAs can make? In what tasks are they doing? Where are they creating the greatest impacts? What departments seem to work best that seem to do well for owners?
That's a great question, because most people are like, I love the idea. Where do I begin? So it always begins with tasks. As a quick side note, one of the things that we do at Rockstar Recruiter, this program is called Rockstar Admin, just to kind of give it some specialization, but because we don't, virtual assistants is a kind of a broad term and we want to rebrand it. So we call them Rockstar Admins. And so what we do is we help people, we walk them through that process because there's so many tasks that they could be doing and not every case is going to be the same. So we put them into 5 buckets.
Okay.
The first bucket would be the lowest hanging fruit: insurance verification, authorization, getting authorizations, medical claims, anyone who's like medical records requests, like any of those tasks, pulling stats, like
Sure.
all of those types of just time consuming functions, anything you can think of, honestly, in that domain would be in the first hat.
Okay.
And so very entry level. The second level, what we find, by the way, 80% of our clients so far, and we are growing very fast. We're taking on about the most we can handle in a month is 7 per month.
Wow.
And we've been taking 7 per month for the last 3 months. So
Wow.
we have starting to build a waiting list because we don't want to scale faster than we can provide great care. The vast majority of our people within a month want a second admin, another virtual admin. So
Right.
they're like, hey, this is great. This was a home run. I need a second. So the second hat usually goes into patient scheduling, and this is a different level for people.
Right.
Once you get the people overseas interacting with the patients, that's when the fear usually goes up.
Totally.
Even though we don't have the system completely built out yet, we have guided multiple companies into setting it up, and it's never failed. Every single time that we've done this, the reports that I hear from our clients are, I can't believe how quiet my front desk is. My patient's arrival has gone up. My patient arrival rate has improved. And why is that? Because you have people on the phone who actually want to do a good job because this is life-changing money. All those trainings that we do, and they're needed. As a matter of fact, we've partnered with D Bills from Front Office Guru.
Right.
We have a really cool offer for people who want both Rockstar Admin and Front Office Guru. We have a really cool offer that we're doing. But I will tell you, all the training in the world can't make up for a lack of willingness.
Right.
And so it's amazing how little training you need when you have a licensed physical therapist, for example, answering your patient's phone call and scheduling that patient out.
Right.
Like there's just a different level of customer service. And we've only had a handful of times where we've even heard that the old patients even noticed or even cared that there was a slight accent on the other line. Like that has... Surprisingly, that has been a non-issue across the board. So the third hat, once they do the obvious low-hanging fruit and then they replace their phones, some people are also at a place where they're looking to replace marketing systems. So we have marketing systems in place to do everything from patient newsletters to email campaigns to calling the patient file, program. We have clients who are piloting that currently. Obviously, if people join Rockstar Recruiter, they get a virtual admin now. Nowadays, you don't join Rockstar Recruiter without also hiring an admin.
Oh, okay.
They're
not just running marketing campaigns to get new patients. They're running marketing campaigns to recruit PTs as well.
Yes. And this is, for example, the current person I have right now who's doing that for some of my clients. She has 5 years experience doing online recruiting for physical therapists for a large company out of New York.
Oh, wow.
I mean, she speaks the language and she's missing some of my training. So the first thing I did when I hired her is I took her through Rockstar Recruiter's online hiring program for PTs.
Right.
And she was like, wow, this is like filling in the gaps for me. And so now she's doing that with some of our clients. And then lastly, there's specialized services. We can hire people to do billing. Sometimes people are too small and don't want a big billing company. We can help people find billers. We can help people find bookkeepers. That's an easy one to go find with incredible exchange. Those you're not going to pay. You're going to pay a little bit more for like a bookkeeper, but at the same time.
But you're not paying $30 or $50 like you might.
Oh, no. It's a fraction of that, for sure.
Right.
So those are the 5 tasks. But what we do at Rockstar Admin, which again is a subsidiary of Rockstar Recruiter, is we first sit down with our clients. Most people don't call me because they want a virtual administrator. They call me just to find out about it. And so what we do is we find out through our process what the perfect avatar would be. And sometimes it's a mix of things.
Mm-hmm.
And we find a mix. Then we go, and then we, without signing a contract, we put them in a group interview where we have people show up. And that's one of the many steps we take in our perfect fit hiring solution, is so that no one signs any contract until they already have this amazing person that they're excited about. There's no and our agreements are non-binding. Like there's no like long-term commitments. People can like give me a 2-week notice. But so far what has happened is they'll find someone and sometimes it's not a perfect fit and they'll just go, hey, we'll find me someone else. And then I take on all the responsibility of offboarding that person and then finding someone else. There's no time involved in that.
Right. Well, and I think it's important to recognize that if owners are looking to use virtual assistants that are foreign born, whether it's Middle Eastern, I know I've got a partner who has a Pakistani CFO for her company, and he used to teach in the States, and like what she pays him is probably $20 an hour. And he's got master's, PhD level training in the States and can run all the spreadsheets for these. What I'm trying to say is a lot of the people that you find are going to have some training in the areas that you're looking for, right? They're not coming to you completely beginner novices trying to figure out Excel.
Yes, to your point, so we don't have like an official training program, for example, for insurance verification or insurance authorization. But in every case, we have found someone who has extensive experience doing that.
Right.
Sometimes in physical therapy, and the training is kind of that has not been a problem at all. I just want to create that training so that we have more, to make it even easier for people to work with us. Because I think that is an understandable concern if you've never done it before. But once they've hired someone and they can see how quickly those people train up, how well they execute, how much money they save, and how that changes the life of that family, and they want the second person right away. The purpose, by the way, of my company, I'm super excited about. So the purpose of this is to strengthen and build families. Because when we can hire an amazing, dedicated person, it builds our work family. We can financially change their family's future because we're paying them something at what they would never be able to get in the Philippines. And when we have that result, that gives us the freedom and time to be more present with our own family. And it's been, again, it's the easiest home run to create and been the greatest joy. I love everything I've built, but it's all of those things have been built around other people, right? Yeah. Like Katie Archibald in the billing company, and she's the CEO. I'm still in that company 3 or 4 hours a week. This thing right here, this is my heart and my greatest passion. And I love the fact that people can get results within, it usually takes 4 to 6 weeks to find a front desk. And it's kind of this like, who's the best person I can get at the cheapest amount, flipping that paradigm and getting people rock stars sometimes in as little as 72 hours.
Wow.
And they don't even, and my partner's just like, they tell me what their dream would be. And then I show up 2 days later with that person. It's one of the coolest things I've ever experienced professionally.
What do you find has been the biggest hurdle for those people? Maybe they're just dipping their toe in the water and they're not sure if they want to go down this route, but they hear about people using VAs and they've read about it and they've heard podcasts about it. And like I said, Adam has VAs and maybe I've mentioned it on the podcast before. What is their biggest hurdle as they're talking to you about it that you have to overcome?
The biggest thing is the mindset shift of just identifying that it won't be all the negative things that we associate with outsourcing overseas. Like when I call customer service, who doesn't want to just go crazy when you can barely understand that person? They're not really understanding your complaint. Like, disassociating that experience from what we are doing has been the only hurdle, because everything else is so black and white. Again, I don't think a lot of people would love as much as me and my team do, like sourcing candidates, but we do. We get so much energy from it. And so as a result of that, most people are really on board quickly. It's just this idea of, that's the only concern that comes up. It's like, well, what if my patients think that I'm outsourcing overseas and the India thing? That's the only thing that's ever come up. And we quickly, once they meet their potential candidate, that goes away immediately. I don't even resolve it. I just tell them, well, leave it to me to find that person. When you meet them, if you have any question, then don't move forward, and we'll part as friends, and I will find a home for that person. And I will 100% of the time, when I introduce the person to the PT, the rock star from overseas to the PT, 100% of the time they move. Every time. Cool. Because they can see it.
Yeah, because which one of us hasn't had a bad experience with those customer service calls with someone from outside the United States? And they're like, I don't want my clinic to be represented in that way, right? And I think that's where the onus is upon you. Number one, to source the right people. But number two, also, you're not doing this in a vacuum without presenting that candidate to the owner. So, I mean, now there's another filter. The owner's got to be happy with their capabilities with the English language, with what they're expected to do and the responsibilities that they're about to have, and to express their past experience and the questions that they might have and concerns in regards to that. The cool thing about it, and I think you mentioned this in a previous call, is that these people, because they're getting paid well, they are committed. Like, they're not wishy-washy. And so they're going to show up, right? And our hours we're not on the same time zone as the Philippines. They will work late at night, whatever it takes to work with our hours, because they, number one, they understand the opportunity that they have in the jobs that we're providing. And number two, they want to show their best. Even if they weren't to work with one clinic, that might not look well for them, but they want to stay with Rockstar Admins so they can find another clinic if need be, right? So they're very much incentivized in many different ways, and to support their families, bottom line, to really commit to the PT owners that you're connecting them with.
Oh man, and I'm not kidding you, Nate. I have never been in a position where I offer people a job and literally start crying. Like, they're so professional, and then you say, congratulations, you've been selected. And they just, like, they bow their head, and it's humbling, because in the black, where we've had some overseas team members now for 3 years, we have some of our team members have been with us that long. They will share in our town halls that their personal win is that they were able to afford a refrigerator freezer that they've never been able to buy before. They've never had one. I can take care of my parents who've been living with me, and we get them health care. And like, for me, I think that's the difference. I think other companies, I don't think there's anyone in PT there might be some people in PT doing this now, but like most of our quote unquote competitors, they are either looking for a bigger margin. So they're getting people as little as possible. And once you're on the hook, they're out of the picture. The other thing that we're really passionate about is developing a real relationship with these people in the Philippines. So I personally run a leadership training program specific for members of my Philippines team. And so everyone that I hire for other PT owners, I meet with them once a week. It's a half hour. We do check-ins. We look for questions that we can help them with. And then I train them on principles and concepts and leaderships, because my vision is to help them develop into entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs, so that in 3 to 5 years' time, they're looking to go start their own businesses in these developing countries. And you're right, they will work through the night, which is what they have to do. The reason I chose the Philippines, Nate, is because it is the most developed of all these countries that work overseas for American international contractors. They have the greatest infrastructure because Americans have been over there for the longest amount of time. I do want to expand into other countries. I'm actually talking to some groups in Guatemala, because they're going to be on the same time zone. And to me, it really matters, mental health. that people have sunlight. We're meant to sleep at night, like just period. So I don't love the fact that I'm building this so quickly in the Philippines that are going to sleep deprive those individuals. But at the same time, this is such a life-changing experience. The other thing that's really cool is that we have launched a new charity as well that is going to be associated with the Philippines business, where for every purchase, we're going to be donating additional money to help create training opportunities for people in the Philippines who don't have access to computers and other types of communicative equipment. We have no obligation for them to work for Rockstar. Like we just want to find individuals who are desperately trying to take care of their family, who can't afford it, who've never had the training, to provide the training and equipment for those individuals so they can set up their own independent contractor businesses. And so for everyone that comes on, we're making a donation to that and supporting that organization. I plan on going over there every year, minimally.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're waiting for me.
Oh yeah.
I'm bringing all my t-shirts with me because shipping a t-shirt over there is expensive. 60 something bucks.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That'd be awesome. So as it relates to how this benefits the owners, and maybe it benefits the owners directly and indirectly. And what I mean by that is taking some of the work off of the front desk, right? Could be in and of itself would be a huge win. But I'm sure doing some of these other things directly decreases the load on owners, right? How have you seen 100%. It affect the owners directly?
Yeah. So first and foremost, the whole hiring process is exhaustive. From the time that person at the front desk resigns or you fire them to the time that someone else is put in place, every day that role isn't replaced, we're losing money. Not to mention the fact that 30% of all of our claims and billing, 30% of all of our rejections are accounted to mistakes made at the front desk by people who aren't doing their job the right way.
Right.
When you have someone who's quitting, the owners have to put so much work into finding the replacement. We do all of that work. What's really useful because they don't have to put a job ad out, spend an hour with each person. We provide within 72 hours. And the reason we can do that is because we're doing it all day, every day now, where we're constantly sourcing individuals with various skill sets so that when you say, hey, Will, I'm ready to hire, and you give me your needs, we can fill that person incredibly fast. These people also require a lot less training because they have a lot of experience working in large medical systems or are physical therapists. So the first benefit is the fact that the PT owner doesn't have to spend even a fraction of the time or energy looking for people. I do the interviews with them. Me or a team member, I should say, does the interviews with the owner so that they spend on average 2 hours max doing interviews. And that's it. And that's interviewing more than 2 people, by the way. You're interviewing up to 6, sometimes up to 8 people in those 2 hours. And that includes meeting with us to determine what you need to hire. The second benefit is the liability. We take on that liability. If you're leasing employees from me, you are not on the hook in the same way around HIPAA violations or any of that other risky stuff that comes online. So the second benefit is the liability mitigation that happens when you work with a company like mine. The third is the training, even though it's not fully built out yet, the leadership training and relationships. I'm there to help Filipinos and the owners whenever there's a bridge or an issue that needs to be resolved. My team can sometimes step in very efficiently and help on that end. The other benefit, of course, is the money. At the end of the day, people are saving per hire. If you're looking at a $16 per hour employee, we're looking at a $10,000 annual savings. In addition to all that fast sourcing, $10,000 of pure profit that goes back into that PT owner's pocket immediately. So what oftentimes happens is PT owners will come to me and hire someone overseas just to replace like half of a person or give an assistant to the front desk.
Right.
And then within months, they're firing their front desks and they're completely outsourcing everybody. It just depends what works best for them. And then I think another huge benefit is just knowing that when you're hiring from the front desk, I don't know how many people have ever cried because they're so happy that their dreams have been fulfilled to be answering the phones or doing insurance verification. But I love the fact that our owners know they're making a difference, not just by hiring and mentoring that person over the Philippines, but that my company is also going to make a donation with each person that they hire to help find other people that aren't on their team to help change lives in the Philippines.
Right.
So honestly, it's a lot easier. It's super fast and it saves a ton of money. That's why it's been such a run.
Well, are you seeing, so I had the Lucases from Virtual Sally on a few episodes ago, and they're showing how they can use these kiosks to represent the front desk, either in total or in some kind of collaborative fashion with a physical presence. Are you seeing your VAs then take over responsibilities or periods of time at the front desk in place of somebody to welcome patients in and collect copays and all that kind of stuff?
There really are two schools of thoughts. By the way, I love Virtual Sally. I think it's fantastic. I know Wendy, she and I are actually meeting again this Friday because we see a super big synergy between what we do.
Right.
If I can find the best people and she has the software and solution to completely automate that front desk experience, we see a real potential home run there. And as we're starting that relationship, what my clients have been doing is replacing their front desk and outsourcing it overseas. And what they have different ways of solving who walks in and greets them, everything from technicians who are just assigned to be listening or watching.
Right.
Again, it's real. I kind of get that piece. I get the idea that you want someone to greet you when you walk in. I also don't love paying $16 an hour since you can cheaply outsource everything else. Just to have someone sitting at a desk.
Right.
So I think Virtual Sally is a great potential option. I've never actually worked with it yet. So I want to be hesitant on giving my full recommendation to it, other than to say that Wendy is the real deal. And I've heard nothing but positive things about it.
Well,
so I'm really excited about getting involved with them.
Well, we also have a mutual friend, Pratik, in San Francisco, that he's outsourced a couple of his clinics with VAs from the Philippines. And I don't know what technologies he's using, but there is software out there so that the iPad that's placed on the counter at the front desk recognizes motion and the camera comes on, and here's the virtual assistant in the Philippines welcoming the person who just walked through the door and saying, "Hello, Mr. Smith, how are you? Good to see you. Do we need to schedule any more appointments?" And so he's able to do that. And I don't know what software he's using at this time, but there is the capacity to do it now. What I love about Virtual Sally, like you said, is having that kiosk all in one place with a printer and the ability to pay right there in the moment.
Touch screen and all those items that I've seen.
That cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to look into all the options because not one solution is going to be a catch-all for all.
Right.
Like some people are going to just insist that they have a physical person at the front, and I don't judge that. I just don't want people paying $16 an hour to have that. Or more. Well, I'm saying $16 an hour, but you guys, that's really cheap for someone to run there. I'm probably
if you're listening to this podcast in 2025 or 26, 16 might be wishful thinking. We focus a lot on the front desk, but what you're talking about is where maybe my front desk is filled already and I'm happy with that person, but man, I don't want to be tracking down my stats anymore. And I don't have anyone on my team that I want to take off the floor to do that. Could I use a bookkeeper? Yeah, to put my numbers together and maybe come up with some KPIs that I need to track on a weekly and monthly basis. Is there someone out there? What if their perfect avatar was someone who actually built out systems and procedures for me?
I have it. I have it on my team.
For owners who are out there stressing about how do I get some of these things done and where do I find the people? Where do I find good people? It's not all about front desk responsibilities. It's about finding other things in your life that are an energy drain and things that do need to get done that could be beneficial to you and save time.
Yes, it's all about that. I love that you said that because it's all about who, not how, which is the book that you sent me. So I'm giving you full credit for that. It's not about like, how do I find more time? It's who's going to give me more time. There's no one who's going to be more apt than these individuals who have this background. So for example, I have someone who goes through all of my emails. I have a personal executive assistant. I have my personal team is being built out. I hire a new person. I've hired 2 more people in the last 3 weeks just for me because I'm obviously drinking the Kool-Aid. I know what this is doing for me. It gives me so much more capability to help focus on what really matters. So I've got all these events that I go speak at. She's booking out all my flights, all of my events. And I can train all of my PT partners how to work with those executive assistants because there is a way to show them how do you share your credit card information? How do you teach them what your booking preferences are?
Mm.
I have her go through my emails. I mark which emails I want her to unsubscribe from. So my emails every time I wake up are getting smaller and smaller. There's certain emails she's even responding to now.
Wow.
Like so like all the crap that isn't in our wheelhouse, that is like our passion. There are these people who love to free us up. And when you go overseas, they can be amazing, but it's just like anything else in recruiting. Having few candidates makes it hard, but having too many candidates makes it hard too. And that's where I think the secret sauce is with Rockstar, is that's my favorite thing. And I believe my greatest skill is matchmaking. That's your talent. That's what your skill is. That's his need or want. Let's put those together. And then keeping those relationships on the back end. We have a full program where we teach you how to give reviews. What should you give? What raises should you give them? All of these things. And you should also, Nathan, I do need to make sure I make mention of this, is that all of our people, we are now providing healthcare benefits for. We are providing all the different, our biggest dream is to take developing countries and pull them into, a developed status through entrepreneurship. We're very serious about our mission. We're not just trying to connect people and walk away. We're building these people overseas into leaders. And so anyway, I love it because it's not just, the front desk is where it's just the easiest to do. You get rid of those annoying tasks. You save 10 grand. What else could we give to someone else that could do a better job of this? Or like marketing. And instead of saving 10 grand, you're now making tens of thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah. And I don't want to skip over the fact that so many people have recruiting needs that you could outsource this recruiting strategy that you've already built out so that the owners don't have to hands-on do it all themselves, I'm assuming, right?
Oh yeah.
They're dealing with trained people that you've trained to run the Rockstar Recruiter program and go and source viable PT candidates on their behalf.
This is where this idea really came from, even though you've been suggesting this for the longest time, is that I had PTs, people who've gone through the Rockstar Recruiter PT hiring solution, the online program that I've been on your show before. The people who don't get results come from one of two areas, and most people get great results. But I've noticed when people don't get results, it's almost always because they didn't go through the program. Kind of black and white. Like they buy the program, they don't show up on the calls, or maybe they show up a little bit, but they don't go through the online portion. It's very rare when someone has gone through the program and doesn't get results. And when that happens, there's some other factors involved there that I'm working on. But ultimately, the number one thing is when people get the results, like our buddy Mark Moore, who, is hiring he went from not being able to hire any PTs. Now he's got more than he knows what to do with. We have groups in Alaska who are going through that same experience across the country, but they do the program and they do the email list. They do all the stuff I teach about on the different social media platforms. This isn't new. I didn't invent this. I just adapted it to physical therapy, but now I'm training people to do it for my Rockstar partners. And that's where this really was born from. People saying, this is all valuable, but how do I get time to do it? Right. And, now it's like, let's not worry about how, let's worry about who.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love it, man. Well, what else do you want to share? I know your time is valuable here. Yeah.
I'm so grateful for the chance to come and just, talk about, because at the end of the day, I think the message I want to leave with every PT owner out there, and I mean this because I'm very excited about this program. I want to talk to you and work with you, but regardless of whether or not people work with people overseas or whatever, is just to start thinking in terms of who's going to solve that problem versus how. So when people are like, well, my problem is I need PTs, who's going to solve that problem for you? Not how do you find PTs, who's going to find my PTs? Whatever that looks like, whether it's working with me or finding an expert to bring in-house or whatever. Like there's just the whole shift in mindset that I had from that book has changed my life. And it's something that I thought I understood already. I was like, yeah, I get that concept. It's like, no, I don't. Because every time I become the solution, I become the bottleneck. And then as Dan Sullivan says, I start realizing how small of a game I've been playing.
Mm-hmm.
When I start playing through, like, and you're one of the best examples I know, Nate, of like working with who's and being really committed to staying in that relationship and not becoming the how. I hope that's the message that people leave with, and maybe some information around this other company that can revolutionize and save them money and change their life. I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, it's who, not how. And that's the big takeaway from this for sure.
And so if people want to learn a little bit more, where do they go?
They can reach out to you and you can send them my way.
Okay. Nathan at ptoclub.com.
Yeah. Say, hey, Nathan, I want to meet Will. I will jump on a call, explain it with you. And then when you do that introduction, it just helps me remember where they come from.
Awesome. That's great. Cool. And where are you at on the socials?
So right now I am at my YouTube channel. I've got my Unlock HBA. The Healthcare Business Academy is my YouTube channel. I'm still producing content there. I've got my Facebook page. You can hit me up on Facebook.
Right.
I don't have Instagram yet. I'm like an old man. I don't have Instagram. I don't have the TikToks or the tweets or the Twitters.
The X's. It's an X.
Oh, that's right.
But LinkedIn, you're on LinkedIn as well, right?
I am. LinkedIn's the best way to hit me up, honestly. Okay. If you're trying to hit me up through social, go to Will Humphreys. You'll see a big fake picture of me. I'm a lot better looking in that picture than I am in real life.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Nathan.
See you around.